My mother is a child of the mountains. Why do mountain people choose to stay in the mountains?
What does your mother say?
Mom says for mountain people living in the mountains is like feet being in shoes. It's comfortable. They've lived here for generations once they leave the mountains.
There's nothing else for them who says. Xiangtu means having hope or an ideal. The harder life is, the more you need it.
The year I failed my college entrance exams. I didn't go to the city to find work. Instead, I took over my father's job as a rural postman. On the night before my first day, my silent father took the mailbag I had already packed, took everything out to double-check it all over again. My mother looked worried, feeling that this job was just too grueling, and that I'd be better off working in the city. But I didn't care. Being a rural postman was a government iron rice bowl. It was nothing like being a common laborer. Father drew me a map of the route he had walked his entire life. The 223-li journey was planned for 3 days, but I was overconfident, thinking I could finish it in just 2. Seeing my naivety, father gave me only one piece of advice. Walking 200 li once is easy. The hard part is walking it for a lifetime. At the crack of dawn, with the morning mist still lingering, I slung on my brand new mailbag and prepared to set off. Father called over his old partner, wanting him to accompany me, but Lao stayed close to father, refusing to budge. He only seemed to recognize his old master. Toward me, the young man who was about to take father's place. He was full of instinctive resistance. Fine, stay then.
It's less trouble for me anyway. I'm leaving.
Feeling a bit frustrated, I left him behind and set out alone, but father couldn't help but worry. Before I had gone very far, he quietly followed and caught up with me. He was worried about me walking such a long mountain route alone for the first time. Fearing I might face difficulties, he decided to accompany me on his final trip. Mom stood at the door watching as our figures faded into the distance.
She repeatedly reminded us to be careful and not to drink untreated water.
Mom, go back inside.
Good boy. Be a good companion.
And so 2 men and a dog set out on their journey. The silence between us was heavier than the morning mist after the rain. Over mountains, across bridges, and through rivers, I walked ahead, my head down, focusing only on the path, nearly colliding with a woodcutter coming the other way. Afterward, I clumsily practiced how to yield properly on the narrow trail. The novelty soon wore off as the path grew steeper, and the mailbag grew heavier. That's when my youthful pride kicked in. I didn't want my father to think I couldn't hack it, so no matter how tired I felt, I wouldn't be the one to ask for a break. Eventually, it was my father who sensed our exhaustion. He suggested we stop and rest for a while. We hadn't exchanged a word while walking. Staying silent, even while resting, felt incredibly awkward. To break the heavy silence, we both searched for something to say. The first few words, long in the making, only made the atmosphere more subtle. Are you tired? After miles of silence, we finally began a bit of awkward small talk. Massaging his legs, he sighed and said that if his legs hadn't failed him, he wouldn't be retiring early. I struggled to find common ground with him, but out of concern, I urged him to go back and rest, saying I could handle the rest of the way alone. My father looked a bit helpless at my suggestion. He didn't say anything more. He simply stood up in silence and continued on his way. The failed conversation only stirred up my restless thoughts, quickened my pace as if trying to outrun the memories haunting me. When I was a child, because father was away delivering mail all year round, he couldn't even make it home once a year, though he always brought back toys for me, which made the other children envious. But these gifts never brought us closer as father and son. I was even a bit afraid of him. Every time I heard he was coming home, I would stay out playing until late on purpose. Even now, I still can't bring myself to call him dad. Lost in these thoughts, my pace quickened unconsciously. But when I suddenly turned around and saw father was gone, I panicked, worried something had happened. I dropped the mailbag and ran back to find him, but I only saw Lao waiting there. I wanted to shout for him, but the word dad wouldn't come out. Just as I was about to lose my mind, father finally appeared. It turned out he had just stepped aside to relieve himself. As I sighed in relief, father suddenly flew into a rage. He didn't care how worried I had been. Instead, he berated me for leaving the mailbag behind. Father sternly told me that the mailbag must never leave your sight at any time. This is the iron law that every rural postman must follow. After crossing several mountains, we finally reached the first village. I expected a lively scene, just like in the movies, with villagers swarming around to receive their long-awaited letters. After all, father often said he was more popular here than the county magistrate. The mountain folk don't mind not seeing the magistrate for days, but they can't go without him. However, reality came as a cold splash of water. There were no cheering crowds like I'd imagined. The villagers were all busy with their farm work. We were greeted only by a dilapidated village office. It felt as if it didn't matter whether we showed up or not. It made no difference to them. Father was used to this. He walked into the room with ease, boiling water, and making tea, as if he were back in his own home. It wasn't until Laura barked a few times that the village secretary came out to meet us. A smile lit up my father's face as he proudly introduced me.
This is my son. From now on, he'll be the one walking this post road.
The secretary assumed father was being promoted to director and offered his congratulations. But when he learned that father was simply retiring early, his joy instantly turned into pity and resentment. He felt the injustice of it all for my father. He said the teachers and doctors who came to work in the mountains all became government officials after just a few years. But father had spent his whole life trekking through these mountains, only to end up with a body full of ailments and no official title to show for it. Father didn't react to any of this. He just smoked his pipe. Calmly to him, fame and fortune seemed like distant trivial things. But listening to it made me feel very uneasy. I felt wronged on his behalf and couldn't help but start complaining. Only then did father mention that a month ago, the branch director came to inspect the route and said right then that for such a grueling path, father deserved a major commendation. But who would have thought that once the director returned, commendation vanished, and father was told to retire because of his age instead.
Didn't the township or the village even write you a letter of praise?
They did write one. I didn't let them send it. How could a man deliver a letter of praise to himself? Besides, and who was there to praise them? You must remember this as well. It's not right to complain about your own hardships.
With that, we stood up and prepared to head for the next stop. But as we stepped outside, I was stunned by the sight before me. Without my even noticing, the villagers had gathered outside. There was no clamor, no crowding. They just stood there silently, with the most humble and sincere gazes fixed upon us. In that moment, I finally understood that my father's true letter of commendation wasn't written on paper, but reflected in the eyes of the villagers. His true record of merit wasn't kept in any official file, but was carved into this mountain path and etched into people's hearts. In this silence that spoke louder than 1,000 words, I, who had been so full of despondency just moments ago, finally broke into a heartfelt smile.
This is my son. He'll be the one walking this mail route from now on. If you need anything, just go to him. He's no different from me.
Though there was no welcome parade, there was a lined farewell. Hearing that my father was retiring, the villagers spontaneously followed us, escorting us all the way to the village entrance. The children were particularly reluctant, clinging to their familiar grandpa postman. I had been so preoccupied with the lack of a commendation letter, but now I realize how narrow-minded I was. What do those empty titles matter compared to the devotion of the people? This is the highest honor earned by my father's own feet, step by step.